Hey, I know what it's like to feel lost, to have questions no one will answer. When the truth is hidden, your mind starts creating its own explanations. You start seeing patterns, making connections, and before long, you feel like you're losing it. But what if you weren't? What if the things you feared, some of your biggest suspicions, were actually real? You're seeing this now for a reason. I'm about to show you something so deeply buried, so terrifying in its implications that most people won't even notice it, but you will. Mel Gibson knew things he wasn't supposed to know. He saw the machinery behind Hollywood, the power, the hidden forces, the rules that can't be broken. And when he spoke out, they erased him. One of the biggest stars in the world, gone overnight. Why? Because he refused to follow the script. And once you learn what he discovered, you'll never see the world the same way again. Before The Passion of the Christ, Mel Gibson was unstoppable. He was Hollywood royalty, with power and influence that few actors ever reach. Then, after the film, everything changed. He became an outcast. People called him crazy, dangerous, a problem. His career ended almost instantly. But why? Because The Passion of the Christ wasn't just a film. Something else happened. Something beyond logic. Something that disturbed the very foundation of Hollywood itself. Mel Gibson saw it coming. That's why he pulled Jim Caviezel aside before filming and said, "If you take this role, you'll never work in this town again." Think about that. Actors play murderers, psychopaths, even Satan himself, and Hollywood keeps rewarding them. But this role, this one, came with a warning. Gibson didn't say, "It'll be tough." He didn't say, "You might struggle." He said, "You will be erased." Because this wasn't just about playing a character, it was a spiritual event, a test disguised as a Hollywood production. And the moment Caviezel stepped into the role, reality itself started fighting back. He was struck by lightning, twice. That alone is impossible to ignore. Carrying the cross dislocated his shoulder. He suffered from hypothermia while filming the crucifixion. At one point, his heart literally stopped. And he wasn't the only one. The actor playing Judas was nearly killed in a freak accident. Crew members collapsed for no reason. People on set reported feeling a presence, something that wasn't human, strange voices, unexplainable events. This wasn't just bad luck. This wasn't just coincidence. Something else was happening. And Mel Gibson knew it would. Because when you take on an identity that powerful, when you embody something so deeply ingrained in human consciousness, you become more than just an actor. You change. And when that happens, the world around you is forced to change too. That's the real secret. Identity shapes reality. And this isn't just about Mel Gibson or Jim Caviezel. This is about you. Most people believe reality is simple. You wake up, go to work, earn money, go home, cause and effect. But what if reality is doing something else, mirroring back the identity you hold inside? Think about it. Before The Passion of the Christ, Jim Caviezel was a successful actor. Then, after playing Christ, his career fell apart. Why? Did he suddenly forget how to act? Did Hollywood just lose interest in him? No, his identity changed. Millions of people saw him as Christ, not as Jim Caviezel. And after that, Hollywood could no longer accept him. Mel Gibson understood this. That's why he warned him. Because once you change your identity, the world you knew disappears. And this happens to everyone. Have you ever noticed that when you start improving your life, when you start making more money, getting in shape, becoming more confident, some people in your life suddenly treat you differently? Old friends stop calling. People get uncomfortable. Why? Because your identity is your reality. When you change, the world must adjust. Sometimes it resists. It pushes back. It tries to pull you back to who you used to be. And here's where it gets even stranger. Some people in power already know this, and they've known it for thousands of years. They've used this secret to shape society itself, making sure people never break free. Because if identity shapes reality, then who controls which identities are allowed? Mel Gibson didn't just make a controversial movie. He awakened something ancient. Hollywood recognized it, and that's why they didn't just criticize him, they erased him. This isn't just about psychology. This isn't just about thinking positively. This is about an ancient truth that has been hidden for centuries. Every great civilization understood this. The Egyptians, the Greek mystery schools, the Eastern spiritual traditions, the early Christian mystics. They all knew that reality doesn't respond to what you want. It doesn't care about your goals, your dreams, or your thoughts. It responds to who you are. Ancient texts called this the God within, the higher I am, the divine self. And those in power, they've done everything to make sure you never find out. Because once you do, you stop playing by their rules. You stop waiting for permission. You stop being controlled. Mel Gibson wasn't just punished for making a controversial film. He was punished for revealing something much deeper, something that threatened the entire system. And here's where it affects you. Because every time you try to change, every time you step into a new version of yourself, reality will push back. You've seen it before. You decide to level up your life and suddenly things start going wrong. People leave. Money dries up. Everything feels chaotic. And most people panic. They think, I must be doing something wrong. But that's not it. This is how transformation works. Reality doesn't update smoothly. Your old self has to be destroyed before the new one can take its place. And most people can't handle that process. They retreat. They go back to the identity they were given, the identity that was safe. But if you understand what's really happening, you can push through. Because once you fully step into a new identity, once you become something greater, reality will have no choice but to catch up. Most people remain trapped in cycles of struggle and limitation without realizing why. They believe that by fixing external problems, they can change their reality. But this approach is flawed. The real issue is not the circumstances. They are only reflections of something deeper. It is your identity that shapes the world around you, and unless you shift that core identity, any external changes will be temporary. Reality is not a random sequence of events dictated by intelligence, effort, or luck. It is a mirror, constantly reflecting back who you believe you are. Not what you wish to be, not what you used to be, but the identity you hold in the present moment. This is why two people with the same opportunities, resources, and skills can have entirely different outcomes. Their external results are simply expressions of their internal state. Until you change at a fundamental level, your reality will remain the same. This is where most people get stuck. They tell themselves limiting stories. I have to work hard just to get by. I always get close to success, but never quite make it. Or people like me don't win. These beliefs are not facts, but they dictate reality because they shape identity. When you attempt to change, the real test begins. You set goals, adopt new behaviors, and start acting like the person you want to be. At first, it feels empowering, but then resistance appears. People treat you differently. Some friendships fade. Unexpected challenges arise. Money problems surface. Doubt creeps in. It feels like everything is falling apart. Most people see this as failure. They assume they made a mistake, so they retreat to familiar patterns. This is why they remain stuck, trapped in an endless loop where their past keeps recreating itself. But the truth is, this breakdown is not failure. It is a necessary part of transformation. Reality is structured as a closed system that resists change. Your current world was built by your past identity, and when you begin to shift, that foundation must dissolve. Old beliefs, relationships, and circumstances that no longer fit your new self will start to break apart. This is not a punishment. It is the process of restructuring. The key is to hold the frame. When your old world begins to collapse, do not retreat. Do not try to fix it. Let it fall. This is reality's way of testing you, asking, are you truly this new person? If you remain firm, the breakthrough follows. Your new identity stabilizes, and your external world reorganizes itself to match it. This is the difference between those who truly transform their lives and those who stay the same. Most people fail because they don't realize that reality must test every new identity before it solidifies. If you claim to have a millionaire mindset but panic when you lose money, your true identity is still rooted in scarcity. If you declare yourself confident but fall apart at criticism, your self-perception hasn't truly shifted. Reality does not respond to words or thoughts alone. It responds to what you embody. The test is not a setback. It is confirmation that you are in the process of transformation. Just like installing new software requires a system reboot, changing your identity creates temporary instability. If you do not complete the transition, your old identity continues running in the background, pulling you back. This is why most people fail. They start the process, but when resistance appears, they give up. Those who succeed do the opposite. They remain steadfast, no matter what happens. They refuse to react, knowing that once their new identity is fully installed, reality will adapt. Identity shift is not just a mental process, it is an energetic one. The reason people resist becoming more successful, confident, or powerful is that shifting identity disrupts reality itself. Your old world fights to pull you back, and reality pushes back to test whether you are ready for the next level. These tests can take many forms. People around you may challenge your new self-image, trying to pull you back into your old role. Opportunities may vanish temporarily as your old world dissolves to make room for the new. Unexpected setbacks may arise, forcing you to prove your commitment to transformation. Most people misinterpret these events as signs to stop, but those who understand the process recognize them as proof that their reality is shifting. They refuse to react. They hold their new identity without compromise. And when they do, everything begins to align in their favor. To make this transformation permanent, you must accelerate the process of identity saturation. Most people fail because they try to change gradually. They take small steps. They practice being their new self. But the subconscious does not respond to slow change. It only responds to full immersion. The most powerful shifts in history, whether personal or societal, have occurred suddenly, through massive momentum shifts that left no room for regression. This means eliminating the frequency of your old self. You cannot continue engaging with people, places, or habits that reinforce your past identity. Stop talking about who you used to be. Stop participating in behaviors that do not match your future self. Cut off everything that anchors you to the past. Your new identity must become the only option. Your subconscious mind must see it as inevitable. This is not about affirmations or positive thinking. It is about overwhelming your mind with a singular reality until no other possibility remains. At every moment, ask yourself, would the version of me who already has what I desire think, feel, or act this way? Every choice must align with your new identity. No exceptions, no negotiations. Most people fail because they want change but leave the door open to their old self. True transformation happens when you destroy the bridge to your past, making retreat impossible. What would you do if failure was not an option? If success was inevitable, how would you behave? That is the level of certainty you must operate from. Reality does not delay when identity is fully installed. Change is not something that happens to you. It is something you force into place. When your transformation is absolute, reality has no choice but to conform. Most people never reach this stage because they hesitate, question, and retreat at the first sign of difficulty. But those who understand the process become unstoppable. Their identity becomes so deeply embedded that reality cannot reject it. And when this happens, everything shifts. You no longer struggle to create change. Reality moves to match you. The signs are everywhere. When we examine the boundaries of our universe, such as the Planck length, the speed of light, and the peculiarities of quantum physics, we notice restrictions that resemble the programmed constraints of a digital environment. Just as video games impose limits to prevent players from breaking the system, our reality may have similar safeguards in place to ensure its stability. One of the most astonishing discoveries in quantum mechanics is that particles seem to be aware of being observed. Their behavior changes when measured, suggesting that reality itself might be reacting to our attempts to understand it. It is as if an unseen system is adjusting itself in response to our observations, revealing only what we are meant to see. But why would such a sophisticated simulation exist in the first place? One possibility is that our world is an advanced ancestor simulation, designed by a more developed civilization to study its own history. If this is true, then everything we perceive may be part of a constructed reality meant to teach us something. It could be an elaborate training ground, preparing us for a greater truth beyond what we currently understand. Human imagination offers a compelling parallel. In dreams, our minds effortlessly generate entire worlds, complete with people, landscapes, and physical laws. If a human brain can construct these realities unconsciously, imagine what an advanced intelligence with unlimited resources could create. Our reality might be far more complex than we ever imagined, shaped by forces beyond our comprehension. If we do exist within a simulation, the implications are staggering. Every aspect of our world, our physical laws, memories, and even consciousness, could be encoded within an immense computational system. Time itself might be a program variable, and our perceptions of reality could be illusions created by an advanced intelligence. Despite these possibilities, this idea does not need to be disturbing. Whether or not we live in a simulation, our daily lives remain unchanged. We still experience hunger, emotions, and responsibilities. The realization that reality may be artificial does not alter the fact that we must live within its framework. Instead, this perspective may help us make sense of strange phenomena, such as the peculiar behavior of quantum particles or the limits of human memory. Some people find this concept exhilarating, while others see it as unsettling. However, if our reality is a simulation, it means that we are part of something much greater. It suggests that existence extends beyond what we can directly perceive. Even more exciting is the possibility that some individuals may uncover ways to interact with this hidden structure and even influence it. Who or whatever created this simulated reality has designed something truly remarkable. As we continue to push the boundaries of knowledge, we may one day recognize the traces of the architects who built our world. Perhaps the question is no longer whether we live in a simulation, but rather what we can do once we understand the truth. The next time you experience an event that seems too coincidental, too perfectly aligned, or simply inexplicable, ask yourself, was that a glitch in the matrix? A message from an unseen architect? Or are you beginning to perceive the deeper structure that governs our universe? Most people go through life unaware of the hidden mechanisms shaping their reality. Beneath the surface of what we see and experience, there may be an intricate system influencing our choices, perceptions, and beliefs about what is possible. After years of research and observation, I have identified patterns that suggest an underlying framework governing reality. Repeating numbers, synchronized events, and uncanny coincidences are not merely chance occurrences. They are signs of an underlying system that operates beneath our awareness. Once I started paying attention, these patterns became impossible to ignore. License plates, clocks, and receipts frequently displayed the same numbers. People I needed to meet would appear at just the right moment. Dreams would foreshadow real-world events in astonishing detail. This system does more than merely observe. It actively responds. Have you ever thought about someone only for them to call you moments later? Have you ever needed something only for it to arrive unexpectedly? These are not random occurrences. They are signs that reality responds to awareness, as if an intelligent structure is subtly guiding our experiences. Yet, most people are unaware of the limitations imposed by this system. Like a computer program, reality operates within fixed parameters. However, by understanding these constraints, we can learn to navigate them rather than being controlled by them. Reality consists of multiple layers. The physical world which we perceive through our senses. The invisible energy fields that connect and shape everything. The realm of human consciousness, which interacts with these unseen forces. Our experiences arise from the continuous interaction between these layers. However, the system is designed to keep most people focused on the physical world, limiting awareness of the deeper mechanics at play. Most individuals believe that what they see is all that exists, but beneath this surface, energy fields link everything. These fields respond to human consciousness, shaping reality in ways we are only beginning to understand. Consciousness does not merely observe, it creates. Just as computers process data collectively, our shared awareness may function as part of a vast computational system, shaping reality through collective thought and intention. Why does this system exist? My research suggests several possibilities. It provides structure and stability to reality. It prevents disorder and chaos. It fosters awareness and personal growth within a controlled environment. It imposes certain limitations until we learn how to navigate them. Have you noticed that some days everything flows effortlessly, while other days feel like an uphill battle? This is how the system operates. When you align with it, events unfold smoothly. When you resist, obstacles appear. The key is not to fight against these forces, but to understand and work with them. Start by paying attention to repeating numbers or symbols, unusual coincidences, moments when reality seems to respond directly to your thoughts. These are glimpses into the deeper mechanics of reality. However, with knowledge comes responsibility. The system has built-in protections against misuse. Attempts to manipulate it for selfish gain often lead to failure or unexpected consequences. Its purpose is balance and growth, not control and exploitation. Throughout history, some have tried to use this understanding for personal power. However, the system quickly corrects imbalances, ensuring that those who attempt to exploit it face challenges, like trying to cheat a game with built-in safeguards. The good news: by understanding how this system functions, you can improve your life. You can make better decisions, time your actions more effectively, and increase your overall efficiency. But doing so requires patience, attention to detail, and respect for the process. Start small. Pay attention to patterns in your daily life. Notice synchronicities. Observe how your emotions and thoughts influence your surroundings. Keep track of recurring numbers or symbols. These are the first steps towards seeing beyond the surface of reality. This hidden framework is not an enemy. It is an operating system that can be understood. Once you recognize its patterns and rules, you can use them to shape your life and contribute to a greater understanding of the universe. In the next section, we will explore how the energy fields connecting everything in our world can be consciously engaged with, allowing you to participate in the co-creation of reality. Movies do more than entertain us. They shape how we see the world. The emotions they stir are intense, but their impact runs deeper, subtly programming our perceptions of reality. People begin to expect relationships to unfold like the romances they see on screen. Action films make violence appear cleaner and more controlled than it truly is. Science fiction molds our expectations of technology, creating visions of the future that feel inevitable. Filmmakers understand this power. They meticulously test different scenes on audiences, monitoring reactions, measuring pulse rates, and even studying brain activity to determine what resonates most. The final product is not just a story, it is a carefully crafted influence on how we think and what we believe. Every successful film becomes a blueprint for our ideals, quietly setting expectations for life itself. The consequences of this programming can be surprising. Fans of medical dramas often overestimate their understanding of medicine, believing they can diagnose conditions just by watching a show. Viewers of crime series sometimes think they know more about police procedures than actual officers. These misconceptions don't just affect what people believe, they change how they act in the real world. Social media amplifies this effect. Iconic movie scenes become memes, spreading specific ideas far and wide. People mimic their favorite film moments, not just reenacting scenes but adopting the mindset and behaviors embedded within them. This influence extends beyond storytelling and seeps into everyday life. Consider how films handle time. In real life, most moments are ordinary, but movies cut out the dull parts, making it seem as if every second is meaningful. This conditioning makes real life feel sluggish by comparison, leading people to seek constant excitement or even manufacture drama to match the rhythm of film. Even the colors in movies shape our perception of the world. Many films use a striking orange and teal color palette because it looks visually appealing. Over time, social media filters and professional photography have adopted these tones, subtly influencing what people expect reality to look like. The same phenomenon happens with dialogue. People wait for the perfect moment to deliver a clever, movie-like line, even though real conversations rarely work that way. This constant comparison between cinematic and actual experiences can create unrealistic expectations. Movies even alter our memories. Studies show that people sometimes recall scenes from films as if they were real events. These false memories sit alongside genuine ones in the brain, making them hard to distinguish. Children are especially vulnerable to this effect. They absorb cinematic structures early, and by adulthood these mental patterns become ingrained, shaping their worldview in ways they don't even realize. In this sense, filmmaking functions as a factory that mass-produces realities. With every film, our understanding of what is normal, possible, or desirable shifts. This isn't just about suspending disbelief during a movie, it's about long-term changes to how we interpret life. Think about how deeply movies influence your own expectations. Your ideas about success, love, heroism, and even your first kiss have likely been shaped by what you've seen on screen. For over a century, films have been constructing and reinforcing societal ideals, generation after generation. Yet, awareness gives us power. If we recognize when we are applying movie logic to real life, we can question it. Instead of blindly accepting cinematic patterns as reality, we can analyze them and decide what truly aligns with our experiences. This way, we can appreciate the magic of film without being unknowingly controlled by it. The Reality Factory never stops producing new worldviews, but now you can see the machinery at work. The next time you watch a movie, ask yourself, how is this shaping my perception? What patterns is it reinforcing? Becoming aware of these influences helps you take control over how they shape your world. We often construct our own reality through the stories we consume. Many people believe love should follow the familiar pattern of a romantic comedy, a charming meeting, a misunderstanding, and a dramatic reconciliation. These aren't just movie tropes. They seep into how people think relationships should unfold. The same applies to other areas of life. People categorize their bosses, colleagues, and even strangers using character archetypes they've absorbed from media. A new supervisor might immediately be compared to a movie mentor, a ruthless villain, or an inspirational leader even before they've spoken a word. These mental shortcuts influence interactions in ways we rarely question. Our brains naturally seek familiar stories to make sense of new situations. That's why, after watching enough medical dramas, people believe they can recognize symptoms. After consuming legal thrillers, they think they understand how the court system works. The problem is that these portrayals are highly simplified for entertainment. Reality is messier, more complex, and rarely fits into a neat 3-act structure. Action films, for instance, have trained audiences to expect that fights are quick, decisive, and relatively clean. In reality, violence is chaotic and full of consequences. Sitcoms make it seem like heartfelt conversations can resolve deep conflicts in under 30 minutes. These narratives shape not just what we believe, but how we react to real-life challenges. Social media accelerates this effect. Now, people don't just passively absorb these stories, they actively reenact them. Photos are carefully curated to match Instagram aesthetics. Videos are staged to fit TikTok trends. We no longer just consume narratives, we live them. This pattern begins early in life. Children absorb morals and behaviors from the shows they watch. They learn what makes a hero, a villain, or a mentor. These early lessons form the foundation for how they understand human nature. However, we don't have to be trapped by these programmed perspectives. The first step is recognizing them. Ask yourself whether your reactions are based on reality or on a script you've seen played out over and over. Notice how you tell your own life story. Do you highlight certain events because they match familiar plot lines? Do you leave out moments that don't fit the standard narrative? We often reshape our memories to align with cultural storytelling norms without realizing it. Entertainment is a powerful force. It captivates us, holds our attention, and satisfies us emotionally. But true personal growth comes from breaking out of these predictable patterns. Real relationships don't follow movie scripts. Real problems don't resolve themselves neatly. People are more complex than simple character types. Recognizing these influences allows us to appreciate stories for what they are, representations of reality, not reality itself. By maintaining this awareness, we can engage with media while staying grounded in our own experiences. Storytelling will always shape worldviews, but once you become conscious of its influence, you can decide whether to embrace it or challenge it. You can choose which narratives to adopt and which to discard. Without blindly following pre-written scripts, you can live life on your own terms. Our personal reality is like a lens we've worn since childhood, shaped by parents, teachers, media, and society. We rarely notice these invisible filters, yet they color everything we see. Some people view the world through a lens of optimism, others through fear or cynicism. Our beliefs determine what we notice and what we ignore, reinforcing themselves over time. This reality matrix feels so natural that we assume it's universal. But in truth, everyone sees the world differently, shaped by their unique perspectives. The good news is that our personal reality isn't fixed. We can adjust it. The first step is realizing we are wearing these invisible lenses at all. From there, we can question our assumptions, challenge our filters, and seek out alternative viewpoints. Awareness allows us to consciously update our beliefs rather than being trapped by unconscious programming. It's not about discarding structure altogether, but making it more flexible, so we can adapt to different situations with clarity and intention. Stories will always influence us, but by recognizing this influence, we gain the ability to shape our own narratives rather than letting them shape us. The system thrives on your complacency. It depends on you becoming so accustomed to constant change that you no longer question it, so busy with daily obligations that you don't have time to care, and so afraid of stepping outside the norm that you never stop to think. It keeps you occupied, working, scrolling, consuming, never pausing to ask why. But stopping is the first act of liberation. Take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself the uncomfortable questions. Who truly owns your thoughts? How many of your beliefs were shaped by external influences, advertisements, social media, the education system? How much of your identity was chosen for you rather than by you? Awakening begins with awareness. Education is not about memorizing information. It's about learning to think critically, to analyze, to draw your own conclusions. The world around you does not exist to provide truth, but to maintain control. Schools do not teach independent thought. They teach obedience. The media does not inform. It directs your attention where it wants it to go. Regaining control of your mind means deciding for yourself what is worth knowing, what is worth believing. The system ensures you remain reactive rather than proactive. It floods you with distractions, creating artificial problems that keep you too preoccupied to focus on what truly matters. Reclaiming your autonomy means stepping away from these manufactured narratives and refocusing on your personal goals. It is not about fighting the system. It is about seeing it for what it is and choosing your own path instead. True freedom comes not from tearing down the structures around you, but from building your own. Create routines that serve you, not others. Make decisions that align with your values rather than conforming to expectations. Surround yourself with people who support your growth rather than those who reinforce limitations. Breaking free is not about escaping reality. It is about reshaping your experience of it. It starts with a choice. Will you create your own life, or will you follow the script handed to you? Freedom comes at a cost. Many are unwilling to pay the price. Once you see through the illusions that society presents, you can never return to the comfort of ignorance. Each step away from the illusion comes with both pain and power. Imagine someone emerging from darkness into bright sunlight for the first time. Their eyes sting, overwhelmed by the intensity of what they now see. This is what waking up feels like. The initial shock may be uncomfortable, but suddenly, you notice everything that was always there, but previously unseen. You begin to recognize the invisible boundaries shaping your thoughts, the silent expectations dictating your choices. The first challenge is isolation. The moment you step outside the norm, you become an outsider. Friends and family may not understand your transformation. They might dismiss your new perspective as negativity, paranoia, or rebellion. Some will try to pull you back into old patterns, while others may simply drift away. Loneliness is an inevitable part of breaking free, but so is finding a new community of those who see the world as you do. Daily life also shifts. Jobs that once seemed important now feel hollow. Money loses its grip once you understand how it is used as a tool of control. Concepts like success and status reveal themselves as artificial constructs. You still need to eat, live, and work, but now you do so with the awareness that the system is a game, and you no longer play by its rules. Your thoughts become restless. Questions keep you up at night. Why are things the way they are? Who benefits from my compliance? What is real and what has been engineered? Simple activities, watching TV, shopping, browsing social media, begin to feel like mass conditioning, a program designed to keep you docile. Emotional control becomes crucial. Frustration arises when you realize how many remain asleep. Sadness follows when you recognize the extent of the deception. Anger burns at the years spent blindly obeying. There will be moments when you long to return to ignorance, but that door has permanently closed. The hardest part of waking up is confronting yourself, realizing how much of your identity was constructed by the system, how many of your desires were not truly your own. In the space left behind, you must build something new, something real. Time itself changes. The world is designed to keep you busy, to steal your attention, to ensure you never have the space to think deeply. Once you begin resisting this cycle, you start to see how much of life has been wasted on meaningless distractions. Fighting against this momentum requires conscious effort. Your relationships evolve. You begin to recognize the conditioning within yourself and others. Love takes on a new meaning when you separate true connection from societal expectations. Trust becomes more valuable, more scarce. But for every price paid, a gift is received. You gain the ability to make decisions for yourself rather than allowing others to dictate them. You stop living for external validation. Fear loses its grip when you realize it was always a tool of control. Reality itself becomes richer. Nature feels more alive. Conversations become more meaningful. Small moments of authenticity hold greater weight than the grand, manufactured experiences once glorified. You realize that happiness is not about achievement. It is about presence. The cost of staying asleep is far greater than the cost of waking up. Living a lie destroys your potential, your relationships, and your true self. Even if awakening brings sorrow, that sorrow is the beginning of growth. The system teaches that conformity leads to happiness. The truth is, authenticity, no matter how difficult, leads to freedom. Waking up is not about rejecting society, but about reclaiming the power to shape your own reality. Leaving the illusion behind is not easy. There is no trial run, no temporary exit. Once you step beyond the veil, the world you knew ceases to exist. To those still trapped within it, your departure will be rationalized, explained away, absorbed into the narrative. But you will know the truth. And so, you stand at the crossroads. One path leads back to comfort, to familiarity, to the life you've always known. The other leads forward into the unknown, into the raw, unfiltered reality of existence. Only you can choose. Which is more valuable, a comfortable illusion or an uncomfortable truth? Take a moment to let the weight of this decision settle. Consider what has led you here. Reflect on your fears, your motivations, your desires. What kind of life do you truly want? What choice will allow you to live with yourself? The door is open. The choice is yours. Once you have seen, you can never unsee. But that is not a curse. It is a gift. Because even if reality is harsh, it is real. And living in the truth, no matter how difficult, is always better than existing in a lie. Now is the moment, not tomorrow, not next week. You have the knowledge. The question is, what will you do with it? If this message resonated with you, don't just move on, take action. The first step to breaking free is awareness, and the second is connection. Leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Have you ever questioned the system? Have you noticed the patterns? Your voice matters, and your perspective might help someone else see the truth. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. This journey is far from over. Together, we'll keep uncovering what's hidden, breaking through illusions, and reclaiming the power to think for ourselves. This is just the beginning. Don't stay silent. Join the conversation. Join the movement.